Facebook scandal whistleblower Christopher Wylie appeared before a UK parliamentary committee today. The former Cambridge Analytica employee deposed at the House of Commons in London. Now, Wylie told the UK's Culture and Media Select Committee that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential wins prompted him to speak up about the data firm's practices. Wylie said that the firm collected data from millions of people, which was in turn used to target American voters. He also told the committee that Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, was instrumental in the firm being named Cambridge Analytica.
Are you in a position to say definitively today that Cambridge Analytica shared its data with AIQ?
It depends on what you mean by its data.
Shared any data?
Yes, absolutely. You can't create software that deploys adverts or targets people online or has a front-end interface for you to query data without actually accessing the data itself, right? You can't have targeting software that doesn't access the database, right? So CA would have the database, Cambridge AIQ would be able to access that because otherwise the software doesn't work.
Can you say that AIQ had access to that data?
Yes, because that's what the Ripon software and the Ripon project was the modeling of that Facebook data amongst other data sets, and then the deployment of that data in online targeting and various other political projects, and it was Aggregate IQ that actually built the software for that.
When asked about suggestions that Cambridge Analytica had an India connection too, he said that the firm had done work in India.
You know, India is the top in terms of numbers of users, and obviously that's a country where, you know, which is rife with political discord and opportunities for destabilisation. So
they've worked extensively in India. They have an office in India.
Wylie also contended that Cambridge Analytica received $1 million for data from GSR. Meanwhile, reacting to Wylie's deposition, Cambridge Analytica took to Twitter to issue a series of clarifications, saying, and I quote, "It was far from a $1 million project. We paid $500,000 for the GSR data. Once Facebook told us it breached their terms, we deleted the data and we pursued GSR for damages. We did not use any GSR data in the 2016 US presidential election," unquote. Now, as Facebook faces further pressure from both the UK and the US, the company has made it clear that its boss, Mark Zuckerberg, will not answer questions from the British lawmakers over how millions of user data got into the hands of political consultancy Cambridge Analytica. Facebook's scandal is being termed as one of the largest data leaks in the social network's history. Right, joining me live from London is WION's Bureau Chief Mandy Clark. Good evening, Mandy. Last we spoke, Christopher Wylie was still continuing with his deposition. Now that it's finished, what are some of the takeaways from his testimony there?
I think he hasn't surprised us with any more new information. A lot of what he revealed to the lawmakers, the parliamentarians, was also what he gave to the newspapers. But really, it's given it more authority. It's given the lawmakers an ability to now delve into his statements and then put it to Cambridge Analytica and also to Facebook. Now, they've asked Cambridge Analytica's CEO, who's currently suspended, Alexander Nix, to come back for more questions because he had been in front of them before on the topic of fake news, and Christopher Wylie said essentially he lied to them. So they have a lot more questions. What was telling certainly was that he said they have done a lot of work in India, not a lot more detail of exactly what work and what campaigns they worked on, but they do have an office in India, so that will likely be investigated further. And also, more critically, he felt that it was important to speak out because this way of influencing campaigns, he felt, was essentially damaging the democratic process.
Also, Mandy, Damian Collins, the Conservative lawmaker who heads this committee, asked a very pointed question to Christopher Wylie there. He said, did Trump's electoral win cross the line, or rather prompting or provoked Christopher into coming out in the open? And he says, it is not just because of Trump, it has a much wider impact, and that military-style information operations are not conducive for democratic processes. Your thoughts on this and what it might mean for countries around the world, including India for that matter?
Well, to put it slightly more into perspective, one of the founding members of Cambridge Analytica had his background in what's known as PSYOPs, or psychological warfare, that the military, all militaries, use a level of psychological warfare. So they use that kind of knowledge and that you normally do in a military practice and put it on during a political campaign, and that is deeply dangerous. The way Christopher Wylie had previously explained it is that people no longer know if they themselves are coming up with these ideas, or is it essentially being embedded into their thoughts because it's in Facebook. And the way he explained it is, if I have an opinion, I can go to a public square, I can tell you about it. Now you are aware that it's my opinion and you can decide whether you agree or disagree. But the way this works is that they really use your personality and your taste and influence their message, and it's like whispering in their ear. So people don't know if it's their original thoughts that make them, let's say, like Trump or dislike Hillary Clinton, or if they had come through that independently. And that's where he thinks it's dangerous, that you can influence people's thinking without them realizing it and be able to assert their own critical thinking. And that's where it can take down democracies.
Indeed. Mandy Clark in London, thank you so much for joining me on WION Dispatch. Appreciate it.